It's been a bad day, and it's only getting worse.
Oh, how so?
Oh, we'll get into it. Well, not entirely, but partially.
Right.
But
right.
hopefully less awful. It's time for another episode of Under the Bridge.
Welcome to Under the Bridge, everybody.
I'm Cody, aka the Scarlet Troll.
And I am Greg, aka Greg.
And this is our podcast where we talk news of the pop culture variety. Sometimes comic news, sometimes gaming news, pretty much always movie news, and also pretty much always a movie review. So if that's your kind of deal, make sure to ring that like button and smash that bell, and also share the video around, because that also really helps.
Smash that bell hard as you can, but not in that way. I know what you mean, you freaking weirdos.
Bust out the Hulk hands.
Right.
So, we're gonna lead with the sad news that I just got earlier this evening, which is that, regrettably, James Earl Jones has passed away at the age of 93.
Yeah, that was one that I was definitely very surprised by to see on my feed. Damn.
It was really great because I was already recovering from a very shitty day, and I had finally gotten some semblance of inner peace back, and then, right after that, James Earl Jones is dead. Shit! I'm gonna have to bleep so much of this! God damn it!
Yeah, that's understandable.
Because just, wow. What a talented person to lose, and I mean, it's not the most surprising thing, because I mean, he was 93, but,
But it still hurts.
It does.
Because this man has one hell of a resume, it has to be said.
He does, I mean, it would take entirely too long to go over the whole thing, and also I haven't seen literally everything that he's been in, so it would feel insincere, but I mean, his film debut was Dr. Strangelove, which is a movie I really like.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I mean, he was Mufasa, he was Darth Vader.
Yeah, he lent his voice for Darth Vader, did Coming to America, The Hunt for Red October.
The Emperor of the Night in Pinocchio and the Emperor of the Night, which I've seen recently and thought, wow, this is really dumb, but James Earl Jones is in it.
Yeah, right. It's a hell of a loss, to say the least.
This is genuinely another one of the, and I'm probably going to have to resign myself to more and more of these in the coming years, but he's genuinely another one of those people where I thought he's never going to die.
Mm-hmm.
He's just gonna live forever.
I mean, I can understand why, in all honesty. He's been going very hard for a very long time. It's not surprising, considering his age, but it's still a thing of, well, who could have seen that coming, honestly?
Terrible. Anyways, that's been acknowledged. Let's move on to gaming news.
Oh boy. Alright, what do we have in the world of eternal cynicism?
Well, you've heard of Concord?
Oh, God. Yeah, I know what this is, and I'm gonna be honest, I completely forgot about this.
Yeah, the only reason I'm bringing it up is because it's just another excuse to clown on executives and just a general state of the gaming industry, because after 8 years in development, the live service, I want to say it was an action game?
I think so.
Concord was pulled and taken offline after just 2 weeks after launch.
9 days.
Huh.
9 days between the game coming out and then just Sony going, yeah, no, we changed our mind, we're gonna pull this. And the thing about it is that this is not some like kind of run-of-the-mill third-party game that did so badly that Sony's just like, okay, we can't sell this game in good conscience. This was a first-party Sony game, which is wild. It just bombed basically from the get-go. I can't really find it anymore, but I was seeing a few things popping around. Apparently, at its peak, the game didn't have any more than 1,000 players on it at any given time, which, again, is completely insane for a first-party Sony title.
It's that live service element. Once you do that, you're a tiny fish in an already oversaturated pond, because everybody wants to make the next Fortnite, but you're not going to make the next Fortnite. The next Fortnite is probably still Fortnite.
Or Fortnite 2 if they ever decide to make another
I don't remember who said that, because I know I didn't make up that thought, but whoever it was, kudos to you.
And now what's really interesting about this is that when Sony said it's like we're recalling the game, they literally meant the game has been recalled. You cannot go to a store and buy it anymore. From what I understand, everyone like actually sent their copies, like stores who had it, back to Sony. And Sony, of course, is issuing refunds for anyone who bought it, which has created a very fun situation in the world of game collecting, because now this game has spiked up for reasons I do not understand. People are selling this game for like $100 physically, and I'm just sitting here being like, okay, I get collecting. I genuinely get collecting and all that. But you literally cannot play this game. There is no servers. There is no nothing. You are literally buying $100 piece of plastic that's no better than a trading card or something like that.
Disgusting.
Who are the people dropping $100 for this game to have it physically? I do not understand it. And I don't even see an argument for, like, preservation or anything, because, like, what's there to preserve? The game has been nuked as far as we know.
Well, apparently Firewalk Studios is working out, quote, the best path ahead. So, it's possible the game may come back on at some point, maybe revamped, maybe with some different way of doing things, I don't know, but what a stupid idea to spend so much time on this game and then just after 2 weeks, don't give it any chance to find its footing, just cut it.
I can only assume with the development time that long that the game had to have been in development hell at some point.
I mean, it takes a lot to make big AAA games, which I'm not saying this necessarily was, but it can take a while.
It can take a while, but I don't know. For me, it's a thing of, I understand, like, for big idea games, it's like, of course, those can absolutely take a while, but you're gonna have to do a good bit to convince me that a game is worthwhile playing without any issues if it has a development time rivaling Gran Turismo 5 and the Kingdom Hearts games.
Oh, you think the Kingdom Hearts game, you think Kingdom Hearts 3 had an 8-year development time? Actually, it probably was close to that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't it an absurdly long time between 2 and 3?
Yeah, but they weren't working on it the whole time, so...
Oh, fair enough. But yeah, no, that's genuinely unprecedented too, the fact that it's been completely recalled. The closest thing we ever had to that recently was when Cyberpunk 2077 launched, and that game launched in such a poor state that Sony pulled the ability to buy the game digitally from its online stores for a little while.
Yeah, well, they frantically fixed it.
But that's I feel like that's a case of, like, everyone else in the industry going, it's like, okay, we can never get it this bad. Like, no matter how bad any of our games go, as long as they never get to this level, we're fine. And somehow that's been beaten out.
Live service games, man. They're the wave of the future, just like AI art.
Oh my god.
Not quite related to this, but also kind of related to this. We have a very strange statement from Sony CFO Hiroki Totaki?
Okay.
I apologize. I don't know how to... my Japanese is terrible. Borderline non-existent. But...
Fair.
His comment was, the company doesn't have enough IP that it fostered from the beginning, whether it's for games, films, or anime. Really.
What?
Sony doesn't have enough IP.
Okay, are they talking active IP or previous IP? Because on just previous IP, you have things like Killzone, Soccer, Twisted Metal. Man, I was just talking about this at work, like, last
Jak
week,
and
too,
Daxter.
so I should know more of these off the top of my head.
Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper. I mean, granted, some of these aren't necessarily Sony first-party, you-own-it IPs, but they are ones that have been exclusively Sony, and if you actually kept that momentum going, maybe you could keep that working.
A friend of ours said Rule of Rose.
Rule of Rose.
And I'm just like, okay, that's just for you personally, my man. Like, I don't think that works here.
What franchise material?
Either way, it's just a dumb thing in general, because it's one of those things where, like, you're one of the longest standing video game makers that continues to still make video games. Like, I think the only people who have been making games longer consistently than Sony is Nintendo, I want to say.
Well, I mean...
That is just a dumb statement.
They're the second longest running person in the console war still, but Sega's been making games since before them.
Fair enough.
Namco.
Oh, yeah! Wow, I can't believe I forgot about Namco. They actually produced one of my favorite series.
No, there's plenty of developers that have been in the game longer than Sony, but, I mean, Sony has their own console, which really helps for distribution and stuff, but...
Yeah.
God, Sony doesn't have enough IP, you say. Maybe if you develop the ones you had, instead of constantly throwing darts at the wall going, what's the next thing?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's just so silly. Ugh.
Yeah, it is. So I got movie news. And we're gonna start with an update on the Joaquin Phoenix Todd Haynes movie Exit.
Oh boy, our favorite.
Yeah! No, he was at the Venice International Film Festival to promote Joker. Joker, we're both crazy.
I do not remember how to pronounce it at all.
Yeah, I don't French. So, he was asked if he wanted to comment on walking away from the NC-17 gay romance movie, and he said, I think if I do, I would just be sharing my opinion from my perspective, and the other creatives aren't here to say their piece, and that just doesn't feel like that would be right. Not sure how that would be helpful, so I just don't think I will. Yeah. Thank you. At this point...
Wait, was the yeah, thank you, were those all part of the quote,
That was all part of the quote.
Okay, wow, I can actually hear that in his voice.
Unless somebody in that movie was a fucking predator.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck excuse could you possibly have?
Yeah.
Especially, it's one thing to be like, I don't want to do this movie anymore, but when it's 5 days from filming, and now you can't even be bothered to say, I didn't like where the project was going, and I thought it was worth putting everybody out of work to walk away from it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, at that point, it's like, still, man, it's like, you need a hell of a good excuse.
At this rate, it's gonna take, you're under an NDA, but somebody was some kind of sex offender. Or a murderer!
Yeah.
Or a murderer!
Or both!
Or both! They overlap quite a bit.
Yeah. it's we're sad to say.
Sad to say. This is part of why for the next Cinema Synergy I really don't want to do Joker, because honestly, my desire to see Joker 2 just keeps going down the longer this goes out, because I just...
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, to be honest, the thing that drives my interest in Joker 2 is just extreme morbid curiosity, more than anything else.
I have that, I do have that,
mm-hmm.
But...
I really want to emphasize the extreme. It's like, this is an extreme morbid curiosity.
There is a boat hull in the front yard, so I could go sail the 7 seas if I wanted to.
Right.
Wink, wink. You know, what a nothing burger of a response.
I mean, that's obviously what he's trying to do. It's just like, I'll just give it a nothing burger response, so they'll leave me alone. It's like, no, dude, that still raises more eyebrows and puts any down.
Yeah, because again, if it's a personal tragedy or something, everybody would understand, and even if you didn't want to get into the details, you could just say it's a personal thing. But by saying the other creatives aren't here to say their piece, you're implying that it's that you weren't really satisfied with where the project was going, which the time to back out would have been before 5 days before filming.
Yeah, it would have been 6 days before.
That is technically better.
That is technically better. Much like how syphilis is technically better than gonorrhea.
Is it?
I mean, I don't know. It's a favorite quote of mine from Top Gear.
Fair enough. I don't actually know what either of those do in detail, thankfully, so...
The full quote was Jeremy Clarkson at one point going something along the lines of, I have syphilis instead of gonorrhea, because it's the best of the sexually transmitted diseases.
Alright, then.
Yeah.
And then the rest are some superhero movie updates. Well, one's a series, but they're both pretty good news.
Okay.
We have confirmation from James Gunn that Season 2 of Peacemaker is debuting in 2025. We don't know exactly when, except that it's going to be after Superman.
And Superman comes out...
in July.
Okay, so well after the middle point of the year, then.
Yeah, back half of the year. So that's neat.
Alright.
I'm very excited for Peacemaker. I'm curious what the status of Waller is, because it sounded like that was going to be maybe before, right around the time of Superman, but also, Gunn didn't really emphasize an order in the releases, just that Creature Commandos is the technical first thing in the DCU, but Superman is what really kicks it off.
Okay.
And he's also said that they're not starting on projects until they have a finished script and an idea of what they want it to be, which I respect. Though that also means they have to be willing to shuffle some projects around as difficulties crop up. So, I guess we'll see. But I'm very excited for more Peacemaker. I'm excited to see where the dead dad hallucinations go. And,
right.
Oh, right, you haven't seen the rest of it yet. I can't go more into it.
It's fair. I am very bad about watching TV that isn't motorsport, so at some point I'm gonna put myself in a bad situation there anyway.
I'm very bad at watching TV that isn't comic book related, but I guess to be fair, I base this podcast mostly around that, so it all kind of works out.
Right.
It's why you won't hear me commenting on Stranger Things news.
And next up, we have a segment on Stranger Things.
Oh god, no, please, I only saw the first season and it's been so long I barely remember it. I remember that one nerdy girl dies in the Upside Down and it was terrible and I felt very bad.
Dies in the Upside Down.
Do we have to watch Stranger Things?
Do we? I don't know, do we need to watch Stranger Things?
I don't know, I probably should finish it at some point. You know, I still haven't finished Breaking Bad. I got to season 4.
Okay, I'm the same there, because I want to say I watched a couple episodes of the first season. I'm like, I see the appeal, never got back to it.
I feel like the only non-superhero show I finished in recent years is BoJack Horseman.
I mean, well, you finished it. I watched episodes spattering about when you were watching it, and I think I know there's a lot that I'm missing, but I also was kind of like, man, my emotions are already not always in the greatest state. I don't think, while this show is genuinely very good and very well put together, I don't think watching it for extended periods of time will do me any good whatsoever.
And now, we got some news that just broke today, and it's very exciting.
Oh boy.
So, Destin Cretton. He's the director of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. He's attached to the sequel still, I believe. He's also, I think, the director of the Wonder Man show that's coming out at some point. He was attached to direct Avengers 5 back when it was the Kang Dynasty and not Doomsday. But then he left. We still don't know why.
Doomsday.
Probably because of all the Kang shenanigans. The chicanigans, if you will.
Right.
The chicanigans?
The chicanigans.
The Kang-nanigans.
The shit-kangigans.
But the Hollywood Reporter has now broken the news that he is in talks to sign on and direct the 4th Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland.
Okay, that's encouraging.
Yeah, because he's a good filmmaker, and also, I know, obviously, it takes a lot of people to make a movie, and fight choreography is not usually solely under a director's purview, and you hire people for that, but the people he got for Shang-Chi, that movie's fight choreography is amazing.
Oh, of quite.
So just imagine that level of action, but with a guy who can walk up walls and stuff, and has super strength.
Mm-hmm.
And a precognitive danger sense, and heightened reflexes and agility. Ooh. Ooh. Who would you...
Yeah.
Who could we have him fight who'd be a good physical match? Let's see. Oh, we can't do Kraven and we can't do Rhino because they're both in the terrible Sony movie.
Unfortunately.
We don't know it's terrible, but it's gonna be terrible.
Our initial impressions are not the highest.
We can't do any of the symbiotes.
Mm.
Maybe Hammerhead?
Punisher?
Ooh! Punisher's a little low-key to be a Spider-Man villain. Maybe a secondary antagonist who Peter ends up teaming up with at the end, kinda, sorta, but not really.
Okay. I mean, fair. I mean, I know that Punisher isn't, like you said, he's not like a mainstay Spider-Man villain, but I know they've butted heads on quite a few occasions, right?
Yeah, no, they've encountered each other. I mean, Punisher debuted as the villain in a Spider-Man comic.
Okay.
And then he spun off to do his own thing. It's just kind of the thing of, I feel like Spider-Man is gonna flatten the Punisher if it comes down to it. Punisher's not gonna fight to kill Spider-Man for the most part, but if he is, Spidey's gonna put him down and he's gonna do it real fast.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Huh. Okay, but what if they got Black Cat? Ooh.
You know what's funny is that I feel like if they got a Black Cat and like did the Black Cat really well, Tom Holland's Peter Parker would probably be too embarrassed and flabbergasted to actually properly do a lot to her, at least initially.
I don't know, I think he's been hardened by the fact that nobody knows he exists and his aunt's dead.
You know what, fair.
We have an opportunity to have a very different Tom Holland Spider-Man. Not that I have anything against the previous movie's iterations, but I just think this is the opportunity to have Spider-Man be a little more mature and a little more hardened and a little more in that good old down-on-his-luck Peter Parker phase, but without being stupid and schlubby about it.
Right.
I'm trying really hard because most of Spider-Man's villains that we haven't already gotten either aren't really a physical competitor for him, or they're theoretically above his level / not the kind of people you get in a fist fight with.
Right.
And I mean, we did get Sandman and Electro and all them and the Lizard. This is tough. This is really tough. He's not really headliner, but Speed Demon?
Who's Speed Demon?
He's got super speed. That's about as much as I know. He's a Spider-Man bad guy with super speed.
Okay, as I say, is he like a vampire with the craziest roller skates?
Nope. Just a guy with super speed, I think.
Alrighty.
Maybe. Oh, I just had something and then I lost it. Damn it. Oh. Who was it?
Ah, shoot.
Boomerang? Yeah, he's got a bad guy named Boomerang, no relation to Captain Boomerang, but...
right.
I guess you could have a guy fight with boomerangs, but... No, he's not really a hand-to-hand guy.
He's not a hand-to-hand guy. He's a boomerang to head guy.
Greg, I'm fucking stupid.
Okay.
Scorpion's right there.
Oh, yeah, you know what? Fair.
They've already cast a guy to play Matt Gargan and didn't do anything with him. Just get Michael fucking Mando back. God, I must be a fucking idiot. Going through shit like, oh, maybe they could have Spidey fight Speed Demon when Scorpion is right.
Right.
Oh man, a fist fight between Spidey and Scorpion with Shang-Chi level choreography would be something to behold.
That would be something pretty neato, yes.
He's still not 100% on board as far as I know, which makes it kind of weird that everybody's freaking out like, oh yeah, this is a done deal, he's on board, let's go guys, because in talks does not mean he's accepted.
Right.
It just means they're in talks, but I guess we'll see. Let's go to trailer time.
Let's go to trailer time.
It's trailer time again. We've got movie previews to watch. It's trailer time again. So, you showed a trailer, you introduced me to a trailer for the, what would we call this, a comedy bio retelling thing? Saturday Night. It's called Saturday Night.
Yeah, it's called Saturday Night. It's apparently a movie chronicling the very first episode of Saturday Night Live back in, 1975?
Yeah, but apparently also a dramatic recreation.
Oh, okay.
So probably exaggerated.
Yeah, I'd say quite a bit. It was, I don't know. Honestly, the thing that kind of got me interested in it quite a bit is, I forget the man's name, but the man who does the names and all that. Calling all these names is like, and then Dan Aykroyd, how the fuck do you pronounce his name? Still in the announcer voice. I was just like, yeah. Okay. That got a very good laugh out of me, honestly.
That was good. I like that. I like how he just kept rolling with it. Aykroyd.
But no, it's fun, because it's got a pretty sizable ensemble cast made of a lot of people that I actually don't know.
I do recognize some names on here.
Right. It's probably one of those things where I have absolutely seen a lot of these people in roles, but I've only seen them like one or two roles, so I don't remember them. The ones that get my attention right away are Rachel Sennett, J.K. Simmons, and, for very obvious reasons, J.K. Simmons and Willem Dafoe. So those were like the names I recognized from the get-go.
Dylan O'Brien's in this, and he was apparently the voice of Bumblebee in Bumblebee, and I think... Where else do I know that name? Maybe it's just from seeing article headlines about Teen Wolf and not paying attention. Could that be it?
Yeah, I mean, he does look like a young Dan Aykroyd, it has to be said. He pulls it off pretty well. Oh, that's Corey Michael Smith. That's right. The Riddler is Chevy Chase.
The Riddler?
Yeah, from the Batman.
That's Paul Dano.
Or Gotham, rather.
Oh, okay.
Man, I'm just on fire tonight.
Yeah, wow. I was like, that's not Paul Dano.
We're doing great tonight.
And also Finn Wolfhard, aka Trevor from the latest two Ghostbusters movies, which fits because I'll admit, the main reason I want to see this is that Jason Reitman is directing.
Okay.
And he's, from what I've seen, a very good director, because, I mean, I definitely liked Ghostbusters Afterlife a lot. I don't remember if I've seen anything else that he's done, but... Oh, he was a producer on Jennifer's Body. I like that more than I expected I was gonna. No, this looks funny, and it's especially interesting because I feel like when you've got all these actors trying to emulate comic stars like John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase and George Carlin, I feel like that could very easily go wrong.
Right.
But this seems like it has some real potential. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, and I thank you for bringing it to my attention.
So, this is actually the second trailer. There was a trailer that came out a month ago.
Damn it!
Yeah, that was kind of the thing where it's like, when I saw that, I was just like, how did we both miss this one? But yeah, they put out a second trailer earlier this week, or last week rather, within the past 7 days.
Huh.
And it was a thing of like, oh, this actually looks like a good time, and it looks genuinely very interesting. So, yeah, I'm interested in this.
Yeah. And we also got a trailer for Wolfman, directed by Leigh Whannell of the Invisible Man fame. And, yeah.
I don't know what to make of this, honestly. Granted, it might be because I'm tired and all that from today, but it was a thing of, like, it's probably a weird thing to complain about, but the whole thing of, like, kind of sort of spelling out the name throughout the whole trailer was extremely distracting and made it very hard for me to pay attention to everything else.
I could see that.
I as I say, I'm probably just being a little bit dumb in all honesty, but no, this looks interesting. It looks, from the bits I was able to pick up, it definitely looks very, very frightening and very tense. So curious to see how that goes. Although I have a feeling that this is a movie more up your particular alley than my own.
Oh yeah, 100%. Inject it straight into my veins. Give me that sweet werewolf goodness.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like Christopher Abbott, having seen him in Poor Things, where he was an utterly reprehensible... He was a cad and a rake, if I may.
Right.
But he was good at that. He's actually playing the dad in this one, who is gonna presumably be turning into a werewolf. So, looking forward to actually potentially rooting for him or against him this time. We'll see how that goes.
Right.
Plus, again, director of The Invisible Man. So, I'm hoping you kinda can't miss.
Yeah.
What I'm mostly interested in is, horror doesn't necessarily need to be about something. There doesn't necessarily need to be a, yes, you think you're running from this monster, but you're actually running from what this monster represents, which is this.
Yeah.
And in The Invisible Man, it was very clearly abusive relationships.
Right.
I'm not saying this has to have that, but I feel like this is probably going to have something similar, and I'm looking forward to finding out what it is, because right now I don't really have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
But also, just give it to me. I mean, it would have been even more exciting if Ryan Gosling was still attached, but hey, whatever. Still excited.
Right.
Then on the more comedy end of the people turning into dogs spectrum, we got Nightbitch starring Amy Adams.
This is weird. This is a weird-ass looking movie.
I thought this was gonna be a little more horror until the trailer came out, if I'm honest.
I mean, did you see that little kid just going all over the place destroying the house? If that's not horror, I don't know what is.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that is pretty terrifying. It would certainly give me a panic attack.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but this very much is a personification of the genre mashup comedy horror.
Emphasis on comedy, because it really does look like it's leaning more towards, this is a funny way of embracing feminine power, which, hey, all for it. Cool. This definitely looks interesting. And I love Amy Adams, so
yeah,
I'm 100% on board. I was just a little taken aback.
Yeah, honestly, the same as well, and I don't think it's hard to see why someone would be taken aback by some of the stuff that happens here. It did kind of get a good laugh out of me, I will admit, when she's like, also I think I'm turning into a dog, and everyone else just laughs it off. I'm just like, oh boy.
I can crush a walnut with my vagina.
Yeah, it's just like, that's descriptive. I like it. That is a very strange mental picture that I don't think I really needed.
You know what I think it is? I think it's just because I already knew that this movie existed and was in the works, and I knew the basic premise, so my mind went to, oh, yeah, this sounds like a pretty horrifying concept, actually, and I'm interested to see where they go with it. So the thing of, oh no, they're turning it into a positive affirmation a little bit. Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, no, not at all.
In fact, arguably, it might actually have the potential to be something better than I was expecting, going at it from that more triumphant perspective.
Yeah, I feel like if it's done well, the message will read people a bit more widely that way, too. To a certain degree, kind of reminds me of, like, the messaging in the Barbie movie in that aspect.
Yeah. Anyways, we got until December for that, so, hoo boy!
Right.
And maybe I'm just grading on a curve, because as much as the trailer isn't what I was expecting, it's leagues better than the Minecraft trailer, which is what I was expecting, and yet still somehow worse than I thought.
Definitely for me, it's like, alright, and now we have in this corner, in our world fight for 2024's worst video game adaptation. Because we already had Borderlands, and now we got this shit.
Oh, you're right. Well, nope, it's coming out in 2025, so it might just be its own contender.
Alright, so it's just like, alright, so in our bi-yearly contest.
Our bi-yearly awards for worst video game movies, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, should we have given one out at the end of 2023? Dang.
Oh, Christ. Yeah.
We're gonna have to look back. We're gonna have to posthumously give out an award.
Right.
Posthumously, of course, relating to the death of cinema.
Yeah, this looks bad. Honestly, the only thing that even draws me in even a little bit about this movie is that Jason Momoa is in it, because I'll tell you what, nothing fills me with more joy than seeing Jason Momoa not get typecast.
He is making that pink jacket work.
He makes it work so well.
He's got quite a bit of style. He's got that drip.
Oh, yeah. He's got drip, and he has the a crazy enough personality and flair to make that trick work, as evidenced in this movie. Just with him just putting the blocks on the table. Like, what does he say? He goes like, well, posh or something like that?
Yeah.
Which is so fucking stupid. But it's one of those things where, God, that's a stupid thing to say. But only Jason Momoa can make that fit.
This movie looks like a kid's show that I would
went off the rails.
Maybe put on YouTube if I was the only one in the house with my niece and I desperately needed some me time. Just, here, watch this. Your parents will hate me for it later, but...
I feel like this is a kid's show where what's happened is that everyone who was actually responsible for it left or something happened, like there was a strike, and whoever else was still around, like, I don't know, an intern, one of the showrunners, a janitor, the janitor being Jack Black, and the money purse were just like, okay, we need to keep this going somehow. We'll be in it. It's like, what do you mean we'll be in it?
Speaking of, wow, that's Steve design. Bad.
Oh my god. Jack Black looks straight homeless in this,
I remember the actual parallel I wanted to make!
Okay.
It looks like a fucking Viva Pinata commercial! That was it! I forgot the comparison as soon as the trailer was done! I was thinking, what was the thing? What was the thing? And then I was just thinking about that stupid pink sheep, and I thought, oh, that's it! It looks like a goddamn Viva Pinata mascot!
Oh, God.
Except Viva Pinata at least has a greater sense of aesthetic definition!
Yeah, and probably maybe a little bit more respect for itself overall.
Fuck! That was haunting me. You have no idea how happy I am to have that off my chest.
And this is how cinema dies, with rousing disdain.
This is how cinema dies, with the mining noise.
With the heat death of the cinematic universe being the Minecraft movie. Yeah, this looks like shit.
Yeah. I'm sure I will have seen worse, because the odds are I'm probably gonna have to watch it. But
I mean, I will say, if it's somehow, some way, worse than the Emoji Movie, that would be amazing. I don't think it's gonna be that bad, but that's the only way I could see this being the worst movie ever.
True.
This does not look great at all.
Let's go to box office.
Let's do the box office.
We did see the highest grossing movie this weekend, because it was in fact Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Yeah, $110 million domestic weekend and total, for a $145.4 million worldwide total, and that's against a $100 million budget, so it's doing pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty solid, all things considered.
It's not likely to be a huge runaway success, but it's looking like it's gonna make a solid profit.
Right.
Except, oh wait, it comes out on digital, I think, in October.
Okay, that does
Why
actually
do studios
fit,
hate money so much?!
Yeah, it's like, on one hand, I kind of hate it, but on the other hand, I mean, this is a Halloween movie if there ever was one.
God damn it. So we saw Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
Indeed.
This is a sequel to the 1988 Tim Burton directed, Michael Keaton starring film, which is directed by Tim Burton and stars Michael Keaton.
Excellent.
And Winona Ryder. And Catherine O'Hara.
But not Jeffrey Jones, Alec Baldwin, or Gina Davis.
No. And not having Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis back is kind of a shame, but Jeffrey Jones, fuck him.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Google it. But I warn you, it's gross. So, this is set quite a bit of time after the original movie. Lydia Dietz, played by Winona Ryder, is now a medium with her own show. She talks to ghosts. She's sold out. She's a big hit. Her stepmom is very proud.
Right.
In that condescending stepmom way. But her daughter Astrid, played by Jenna Ortega, kind of hates her guts and thinks she's a fraud and doesn't believe her on anything relating to the supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out that Lydia's dad, Charles, has died as the result of, but not directly due to, a plane crash.
I was to say, it's like, alright, this is a interesting thing to have written in as far as how he's no longer in the picture.
Yeah, but considering why they couldn't have the character in the picture, I think that's pretty fitting and honestly pretty damn funny.
Yes, quite.
And we're not going to spoil it because, again, comedies are hard to review because a lot of what's there to talk about are the jokes, and you don't want to give away the jokes.
Yeah, no.
But circumstances conspire to bring Lydia and her family back to Winter River, where Astrid gets embroiled in some supernatural mumbo-jumbo gobbledygook nonsense, requiring Lydia to seek the help of Beetlejuice, who is himself, A, still pining over her, and also trying to get out of the land of living, because his ex-wife, played by Monica Bellucci as Dolores, is roaming around the Netherworld, sucking out people's souls looking for him.
Right.
And it's pretty good.
It's quite good. This is a very good time. It is more of the same when it comes to Beetlejuice, so in that aspect, if you weren't crazy about the Beetlejuice movies originally, you're probably not going to have a good time with this one. Just going to put that out there. But it's still pretty great.
Yeah, I'm in a weird spot where I feel like I should be more in love with the Beetlejuice movie than I am. Maybe it's just because I only watched it for the first time a few weeks ago, but
right.
I thought it was solid. I thought it was pretty alright. I love the design sensibility, I'll definitely give it that, but it just doesn't click with me in a way that some other movies similar to it do. And I don't know what it is about it, but it just doesn't. So for this, I also don't think this is quite as good as the first one, but
yeah,
the fact that it's a almost 40 years later sequel to a comedy starring a lot of the same people, and it doesn't suck, kind of makes it even better than it actually is just by virtue of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that truly is a feat.
If you told 2014 me that they were going to make a Beetlejuice sequel 10 years from that date, and it was actually going to be pretty good, I would have been like, yeah, alright, whatever, boomer.
Right.
But, no, very pleasantly surprised by the fact that this still has a lot of the same charm, which I guess is to be expected because a lot of the actors do return, but there's also some really good new talent in this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got that same irreverent zaniness with some real heart beneath it.
Right.
And I also like that it doesn't do a lot of the things that I kind of figured a Beetlejuice sequel would do, because like I said, I didn't watch the original movie, but I knew enough about it. Like, I knew that, oh, Beetlejuice is actually the bad guy, kind of, or at least he's an antagonistic figure and not the hero, until the Saturday morning cartoon made him a hero.
Wait, there was a Saturday morning cartoon?
Yeah.
How have I never known about this?
Yeah, what the hell? No, it was a big thing.
Wait, let me see if I can remind myself of it real quick. Ooh, that's vaguely familiar. Ooh, This might have been one of those ones where I saw it pop up every now and again, but I never actually sat down and watched it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, Beetlejuice was actually Lydia's friend in this one, and then they go around getting into wacky misadventures.
Oh, that's cute.
Well,
yeah,
except for the part that in the first movie, you know, she was a teenager and he was trying to marry her.
Yeah.
It makes it a little less cute.
Yeah, the context of the show is cute, but I don't know if the show did a good job separating itself from the context of the movie, because the movie in that aspect was at least a little bit gross. And by a little bit, I mean quite.
So, yeah, I'm very pleasantly surprised because is that a spoiler to say that? Ooh.
I don't know, honestly.
Oh, that is hard.
Because it's one of those things. Well, I feel like it's a bit of a spoiler considering the age gap between the movies.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, because one of the things about this is that it's interesting how this movie puts itself together, because it is, if you're someone who wasn't born in 1988 and never saw the original movie, it does a good job of keeping things together if you've never seen the original film. Or at least it does well enough. There are definitely some kind of particular details or whatever that, if you know, you know, and it enhances the story, but otherwise, if you don't, it's like, okay, that tracks. That kind of goes along with what's happening right now. There's a particular one good reference in the first bit of the movie where, for people who had seen the original movie, they're just, oh, aww. But also, that's a good explanation. If you had never seen the original movie, you're just like, okay, yeah, sure. Like, that would be your general reaction. And both of those would be very valid reactions to that piece of information.
Yeah, I think on the whole, the movie does a pretty good job calling back to the original movie, but most of the callbacks aren't done with that overly reverential, hey, remember this was great. It's just kind of more of a, right, here's the thing. We're partly using it for a joke, we're partly glossing over it, whatever. It
doesn't, do the whole thing, instead of trying to nudge you in the shoulder, it just sends its elbow through your shoulder out to the other side of your body. It's not that hard.
It's kind of like if Ghostbusters Frozen Empire had come out instead of Ghostbusters Afterlife, where instead of going, yeah, here's a nostalgic rose-tinted glasses look back at the original Ghostbusters. You remember that feeling? Well, what if we did some more of that? Instead they just went, get in, nerds, we're fucking Ghostbusting again. Keep up.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
But, yeah, no, I was pretty pleasantly surprised, because I wasn't expecting it to be bad, but I also wasn't expecting it to be as good.
Yeah.
And it's not perfect. I mean, for example, Monica Bellucci's character, you could kind of just cut out of the movie entirely.
Yeah, so I will say, if there is anything here that is kind of weird about this film, it is the feeling of, and I want to say the original movie did this too, but I don't remember it being as egregious as it is here. It feels like that there's a few different plot threads that are happening at the same time that individually would all be solid if that was like the focus of the movie. But it's like, alright, we're going to try and put all of these plot threads together in this hour, 40-minute runtime, and we'll see how it comes out on the other end. So that might be a little bit jarring if you pick up on that. And I don't know, I feel like they do a good job of kind of putting all of that together and wrapping it up, but that does lead to a slight bit of feeling of like the pacing feels a bit off, especially when you get into like the later part of the movie.
Yeah, once it all starts coming to a head, you just kind of have more of a feeling of, oh, right, we do have to wrap this up, don't we?
Yeah, like the thing with Monica Bellucci, her whole bit in this movie is a thing of, out of some point, I'm just like, wait, that's right, we have to figure her out too.
And then there are other elements where I thought they were gonna be a bigger deal, and then maybe like 2/3 of the way through the movie, they get wrapped up, and I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Later, fucker.
Yeah, alright. Quoting Dostoevsky, I see.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe's another one where he doesn't really feel like he needs to be in here, and some of his scenes feel a little superfluous, but he feels less superfluous.
Yeah, at a certain point I'm just like, okay, Dafoe's role in this movie is in a weird spot, because it feels like the character that he's playing and everything that he's doing, of all like different plot threads, it's the most perfect fitting one within the tone and scope of the movie. But it's still one of those ones where just like, oh, if you were given just a little bit more time or a little bit more content in this movie, it would just be perfect.
Or, since his plot kind of ties into actually very heavily ties into the Monica Bellucci one, if she had more to do in this movie, so might he, and they both might feel a little better serviced in the movie. But it's a Beetlejuice sequel, so I'm not really in it for the most coherent plot in the world, full of thematic resonance and what have you. I'm here for a good time with weird sets, and I got that.
Right.
I almost just blurted one out, and it would have... I think it was a spoiler, so...
Good job.
Yep.
You kept it together.
It's also interesting seeing how some of the character dynamics have developed. Mostly Lydia and Delia, because Delia's kind of mellowed out a little bit.
Yeah.
Because she's less directly antagonistic, but she's also still not particularly helpful.
Yeah.
But you can tell an understanding's been reached.
Yeah, no, and I feel like that does a great job for Delia in this movie too, because Catherine O'Hara is great in this movie.
Oh yeah, she's really funny.
Yeah, she's really funny, she's really animated. In the first movie, I pretty much hated her, and in this movie, there was a certain point I'm just like, this movie is making me like Delia, and that pisses me off.
Well, part of it's because we got a new slimeball to hate in the form of Rory, Lydia's manager / boyfriend / fiancé, played by Justin Theroux, who is just the most cringe, slimeball, trying to be more hip than he is, new age BS, codependent asshole. And yet he's still pretty entertaining in spite of that. Not sympathetic in the slightest, but entertaining.
Oh no. And to that extent, I will say I think he did a great job in his role too, because I'm speaking for me at this point, but if you're making me go from, alright, you're annoying, to, oh my god, please shut the fuck up, to, I need you to actually fucking die now, then that's a sign of you being a really good actor. Because the progression of hatred for his character in this movie, I think the last time that I felt that in earnest was with Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad.
Yeah. She's pretty easy to hate.
Yeah. Well, it's more so like the way that her character progressed to a certain point where I'm just like, I genuinely actively dislike you. With the end of 2016 Suicide Squad just being me going, can you please fucking die?
Oh, you meant 2016 Suicide Squad. Wow, okay, that's even more impressive.
Yeah. Waller in 2016 Suicide Squad. That is the most genuine hatred I've ever felt for a fictional character.
Nice!
Or at least the most genuine and visceral that I can currently recall at this moment.
And of course, Jenna Ortega is great in this, as she is in everything. I don't understand the people who are saying, oh, she's just Wednesday again, because she's not. There's some real pain and there's some extra vulnerability in there.
With a few of her moments, you can see a little bit of Wednesday Addams in there, but she's not, like, literally Wednesday through and through. She actually has genuine emotion and character development and all that, and, of course, a very distinct personality compared to Wednesday. Like, it's not even remotely the same.
It's not that Wednesday isn't distinct, it's just differently distinct.
Yeah. No, she's not really Wednesday Addams in this.
Actually, no, thinking about it, she's really not, because she thinks most of her mom's stuff is fake and a fraud. She's actually much more environmentally conscious.
Yeah.
But it comes down to her aesthetic is still a little bit there, but...
Her aesthetic is a little bit on, like, the dark and goth side.
Yeah,
like, not to the same degree as Wednesday or as Lydia, but still there.
No, personality-wise, definitely not the same I myself am strange and unusual vibe.
Yeah.
Also worth noting, I have one other gripe, and it's not that Winona Ryder is bad in this, but I feel like she leans a little too heavily sometimes on the look around in wide-eyed confusion performance style.
Yeah.
There's a couple of points where I think it would be okay to show a different emotion. And she does plenty of times throughout the movie, but there are points where that particular brand of mugging goes a little far.
I feel like it's a thing of that mugging is what's always there in the more significant scenes for her character, which is probably why it feels a little grating.
Yeah, especially during certain moments, which I won't get into here, but there's a couple of scenes in particular where I thought, okay, are you gonna do something else? Say something else? No, just keep doing that, okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
But she definitely turns in a good performance on the whole. It's just a couple of points where I noticed, that's a little much.
Right.
And of course, we barely talked about the ghost with the most himself. Is he a ghost? He's not really a ghost, is he? He's more of a... Is he a demon? What is he?
Are we talking about the guy in the red shirt?
No, I'm talking about Beetlejuice.
Oh. Alright, probably need to cut that then. Yeah, no, Michael Keaton kills it as Beetlejuice. He is so great.
It's like he never left.
Yeah. Oh, he's just a joy to have on the screen. Man, Michael Keaton is still a very spry fellow, it has to be said.
True.
Yeah, the energy he has while being Beetlejuice is... I wish I could move with that much speed without just falling over and killing myself. Like, very fun to just see Beetlejuice doing his thing in this.
And it's also interesting to see he really hasn't learned a thing, or changed at all. He's still pining over Lydia, in fact, which is, okay, but why?
Yeah.
Because in the first movie it was purely transactional and you wanted to get into the realm of the living, but I guess maybe just because you got thwarted that one time and you're not really used to that?
Right.
Maybe that's it. But he is still a force of chaos through and through, and it's really entertaining to watch.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And of course, the music, pretty damn good.
Yeah, the music's a good time in this. We do, of course, get plenty of Banana Boat, but there's also a couple other fun uses of music in this film.
Yeah, you knew the day-o was coming, but there's some other surprises, including at least one song that I thought, this has to have been made for this movie based on the lyrics, and then it turns out, nope, actual song. Okay.
Right.
What the fuck?
I mean, it's definitely a song because you told me what it is, and then I looked it up later. I'm like, well, this song's about to get a lot more popular.
Case in point, I listened to it after finding out it was a real song.
Right.
Okay, that I think probably wraps it up.
Yeah, I think we're good at that point.
Yeah. On the whole, this is definitely worth watching. Like I said, I don't think it's quite as good as the original Beetlejuice. Mostly because I think it's trying to do a little bit more, not necessarily all to success. But the elements that work really, really work. And what's also very important is that it's funny. If this wasn't funny, total failure. But everybody still got it, so...
Right.
Definitely worth checking out.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't want to get spoiled on Beetlejuice, make sure to click away in 3, 2, 1. It's really hard, because I don't want to spoil all the good jokes.
Yeah, so welcome to the spoiler section where we have to decide very carefully what to actually spoil because, like you said earlier, the hard part about talking in depth about what happens in the movie and spoiling stuff is that it also gives away a lot of the funny. And if you give away the funny, then what's the point at that point?
Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna get into details. Delia's death is fucking hilarious.
Oh, it's hilarious, but it also... that was the point where it's just like, this movie's making me feel sad that Delia is dead. What the fuck is going on? It was like, I was genuinely like upset with myself that I felt bad for her dying. It's just like, this is some bullshit. But granted, she also, if I'm honest, she also died in probably the most Delia way possible.
Yeah, it's not how I ever would have guessed, but based on the first one, if you told me immediately after that this is how she was gonna die, I would go, that tracks. Weirdly enough.
Yeah, it's like, that makes more sense for her character, because her character is kind of a fucking idiot.
And batshit crazy. So, okay, now I can more solidly say, since I might have cut it, I respect that Beetlejuice, even though he does help out here and there, remains pretty much the main antagonist.
Which is amazing considering who the secondary antagonist is in this movie. But yeah, he does a good job as staying as the first antagonist, but staying as the main, but still extremely entertaining troublemaker throughout the entirety of the movie.
I will say, I'm pleasantly surprised, and I think I've officially hit the point where I've seen enough movies that I'm actually getting savvy now, because you would think with the number of movies I'd seen I'd be better at guessing plot twists. I'm really not, but I've been getting steadily better over the last couple of years. For example, I called that the boy who Astrid was hanging out with was a ghost, relatively early in. Pretty much as soon as he mentioned...
Yes.
I only pick up what I can find from record stores. I don't order anything online because I don't trust anything I can't touch. I was like, oh, he's a ghost. And then he turns out he has a handbook for the recently deceased, and I went, yep, definitely a ghost.
Yeah. No, Arthur Concy does a great job as Jeremy as well.
Yeah.
Didn't want to exactly mention that in the non-spoiler section, because I feel like there's no way to talk about his character and his performance without giving away that bit.
Right. But what I also respect is that while I did call him being a ghost, I didn't call him being a murderer.
Yeah. That was the thing of, oh, okay, we're just like cranking it up now.
Because he tricks Astrid into performing a ritual that lets him get his life back by sacrificing hers, which is the thing that necessitates Lydia to get Beetlejuice's help in the first place.
Oh, that is pure evil.
Yeah, he's not good. He's pretty bad. Hid in his treehouse and died after killing his parents.
Yeah. Yeah, which, actually, that was a thing where I'm just like, oh, that's a hell of a death.
So naturally, Beetlejuice's condition for helping is Lydia has to marry him, and she signs that and agrees to it. He got it in writing this time, which, good for him.
Yeah, with her blood, no less.
But that... Okay, so the two scenes where I thought, it would be really great if Winona Ryder had any other kind of reaction, one of which is Rory proposing to her at her dad's funeral.
Which was,
that physically hurt.
Like, I really cannot emphasize how much at that point I was just like, there was nothing more than I would like than to just go into this universe and just punch this motherfucker right in the face.
Terrible. What a thing
that was
to
just
do.
Like so horrifically tasteless.
And I was 100% on board with both Delia and Astrid being furious that she didn't immediately shoot him down and stick with it. Because she does turn him down, but then he puts on the sob story and then she folds like a house of cards, which is sad. But, yeah, I guess that does kind of make sense, but it's also frustrating as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other time is when Beetlejuice is set to marry her and they're doing a big musical number, only this time instead of forcing everybody to sing the Banana Boat song, it's MacArthur Park. But,
right.
While they're doing the slow dancing in the air, she's still just looking around all wide-eyed and confused, and it's like, you're not used to this by now? I know it was a while ago, but...
You've been seeing ghosts for the last, 40 years or so. I figured you'd be used to it at this point.
Exactly. So that was a little...
Yeah.
Can you do anything else at this point? No? Oh, alright, cool.
Alright, I guess we're stuck with this.
Yeah, no, Dolores and Rory both get trounced with relative ease at the climax, which I guess makes sense considering the level of power and influence Beetlejuice is supposed to have, and his random, chaotic, do-whatever energy, but very quickly wrapped up.
Yeah, even despite getting a whole in-depth explanation from her in a very, very humorous Italian retelling of the Black Plague.
Oh my god, that was a great send-up to schlocky Italian horror. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so that was actually a reference to, Italian horror movies.
Yeah, it's the kind of melodramatic narration to explain things that that they either aren't able to or willing to convey, or that they have to make sure it gets across, especially if it hits overseas.
Okay. I just wonder who did the Italian. I'm pretty sure it's not, but it would be really something if Michael Keaton actually either already knew Italian or learned Italian to do that bit.
That would be something else, huh?
Yeah.
Wikipedia doesn't mention anything about it.
Yeah, no.
Unfortunate. I'm very pleasantly surprised because I would have thought that if you gave Beetlejuice an origin, I would hate it, but I don't.
And it also fits pretty well with his character, all things considered.
It's also interesting because, again, the character is a prick, and he's gross, and he's a sex pest, and he's just an annoying asshole, but
yeah,
it adds an almost kind of layer of understanding to why he's so determined not to work with the Neitherworld bureaucracy, because you basically become a civil servant in the afterlife when you take your own life, to be a little more delicate, but
right.
Beetlejuice didn't actually take his own life, and yet we know in the first movie he was Juno's assistant, which implies he got sent to that bureaucracy anyway, because I guess he was considered close enough to a suicide for them to sort him into that pile. So it's like, oh, no wonder he can't deal with that and wants to get out, because it doesn't actually apply for him.
Right.
So that's an interesting layer of depth that doesn't excuse anything he does, but it just adds something.
It doesn't excuse what he does, but it does kind of explain more about him.
So, Charles Dietz, who is portrayed by an unnamed actor, or at least the torso of one, because he doesn't have his head anymore. For you see, the plane crash did not kill him. He landed in the water, and you might think he drowned, but instead, he managed to cling onto some debris, and then a shark ate him.
Yeah.
All of which is told in a stop-motion claymation sequence that is weirdly off-putting, but also pretty dang funny.
Apparently, according to a line from an interview that Tim Burton had, that whole bit was inspired by a nightmare that he had at one point.
That would be a pretty terrifying nightmare.
Yeah, it's apparently Tim Burton had a nightmare about his own death and how it would happen, and that's what inspired that whole bit.
Alright. You know what, there is a joke that I'm willing to give away, and it's at the end when Beetlejuice injects Rory with truth serum to get him to spill the fact that he's not in love with Lydia. He only wants to marry her because he can make more money as her husband than as her manager.
Yeah.
And he's talking about how he just goes to survivor guilt meetings just so he can meet vulnerable women, and then says, and with you, I hit the codependent lottery. And it's like, oh.
Yeah. I was just like, oh. Alright, someone please assault this guy.
And then Beetlejuice very helpfully gives Lydia a giant boxing glove so she can do it, which is actually one of the nicer things he's ever done.
Yeah, that was very sweet and very, very powerful.
So that was pretty funny. Beetlejuice ends up getting thwarted by the fact that apparently because he broke some rules while helping Lydia, the contract that she signed is null and void. And you know what? I'll respect this movie for the fact that it leaves things open for a sequel, but it doesn't necessitate one.
Right. I mean, first off, kind of referencing that whole bit where the contract gets null and voided, because Jenna Ortega's the one who mentioned it, and then I want to say Beetlejuice just goes, well, that's convenient. Alright, good to acknowledge kind of the meta-ness of that. But yeah, I do like that. I'm inclined to believe, based on everything that happened, and also because of how this movie is titled, is that there will be a sequel down the line that's just called Beetlejuice Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
See, you're probably not wrong, but I also can't help but wonder if they're setting us up for a joke. Like, instead we get Beetlejuice, but the E's are 3s, or Beetlejuice Cubed,
right.
Like the third Alien movie. So that'd be pretty funny.
That would be good.
Soul Train. That's I think the last thing. That's a good joke.
I was mistaken in thinking that the person who is a conductor for the Soul Train was actually the original the original host. That is not the case. He died years ago.
Kinda figured.
He died quite some time ago, so it's definitely not him. But that whole bit was still good, and that was a thing where, even though Soul Train was very before my time, I'm just like, alright, this kind of makes me happy. The fact that they are going this hard into the whole Soul Train thing, and how it's like a whole disco party, and referencing the original show and all. Alright, I like this. This is good.
Yeah, no, that was one where I was like, okay, Soul Train. And then you see it first, and the music starts playing, and they start dancing, and it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. And then it just keeps going, and it just gets funnier.
Yeah, they just fall into the paint with it, and it's pretty great.
We got anything else?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Alright. So yeah, again, definitely worth watching. I still haven't figured out where to put it on my 2024 rank list. But let me take a look at that real quick right now and see what I think.
You probably need to, reevaluate the list. I have not written down any of the movies that I've watched this year, so I need to go and do that at some point. But I would definitely say, of all the movies I've seen this year, this would be in my top half. I would be very surprised if it wasn't.
Why do I have Bad Boys Ride or Die so high on this list?
I mean, that was one that we both enjoyed immensely, if we're honest.
True. Now I'm gonna put it right above Alien Romulus. It's not quite top 20, but it's pretty close. And again,
fair enough.
I wasn't. It's not like, oh, I was a huge fan of the original Beetlejuice and this can't measure up. I thought the first Beetlejuice was okay, and this is also pretty okay. By which I mean it's pretty damn funny. It's weird that it doesn't click with me because I figured it would.
Fair, yeah.
But, anyway, since that wraps up the Beetlejuice review, thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to share the video around, like I said earlier, if you like this, because it really does help. Next week, The Killer's Game comes out.
Yeah, that doesn't it?
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that.
How'd you forget? We've been getting trailers for it for weeks!
Yeah, but I don't think any of the trailers still had a release date on it.
You're right.
This movie comes out in a week, and the trailers that keep on showing up before it keep on saying, coming out this year. I'm just like, because I remember asking, when does this movie come out?
Well, next week.
So, I feel like that's not a great vote of confidence for this movie if the movie trailers themselves can't be bothered to actually tell people when the movie releases in theaters.
Yeah, that's not great, come to think of it.
Yeah.
But, anyways, regardless of what we end up seeing, but it's almost certainly The Killer's Game, this has been Under the Bridge with Cody, aka the Scarlet Troll.
And with Greg, aka Greg.
And we'll catch you all next week.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye!